All right. Welcome to the Wrench Factor, where we explore the technologies and innovations shaping the future of manufacturing and industrial asset management. Here we discuss the biggest challenges facing frontline professionals, sharing insights from the field and strategies to achieve best-in-class operations. I'm your host, Nick Haase, one of the co-founders here of MaintainX, and I'm super excited to introduce our guest today, Will Lehrmann. He is currently the head of our product team here at MaintainX, and I think he's got a wealth of knowledge and interesting perspectives that I really thought would be exciting and interesting for the audience here to share. So, without further ado, Will, give us a little background for those who don't know who you are on what you're doing today, and we're kind of a little bit about what you've done before MaintainX.
Yeah, thanks, Nick, and excited to be on because I've watched a lot of episodes, so I finally get to be in the hot seat here and hang out with you for a little bit. So thanks. So my name is Will Lehrmann. I'm the SVP of Product here at MaintainX. I lead product and design, and I spent the last 12 years prior to coming to MaintainX in the construction industry, building software. So I worked at a company called Procore. And a lot of similarities to some of the challenges that the construction industry and manufacturing industry face. So I feel like I'm coming in with a lot to learn in this space and in this market, but also a lot of trends and similarities that hopefully I can bring to the table as we continue to solve problems for this awesome industry.
I love it. So, well, how did your time at Procore shape how you think about product for the industrial world? And where do you think construction and manufacturing needs align or differ?
Yeah, that's a really cool question, and something I've actually spent quite a bit of time thinking about. So, the apologies for maybe the long-winded answer, but a lot of really interesting similarities that I've spent a lot of time contemplating. To go through a few of them, I think first is just the nature of the work, right? Super complex. It's physical. It involves coordinating people, materials, machines. You're building something tangible. And I think with that comes, a lot of opportunity, but a lot of challenges in how you can actually help these folks solve problems that they need solved and help create efficiencies for them. Another one would be really high coordination cost, right? There's so many moving parts. There's so many aspects to keeping people informed, keeping the right data into the hands of the right teams. Information's passing from the office to the site. And because of that, a lot of the success depends on super tight scheduling, really, really good communication, workflow visibility. But it's hard because it's such a dynamic industry. And so I think that creates some challenges, but some opportunities as well. A couple other ones I'd say, a lot of legacy systems and processes in these industries, right? And I think we're seeing a really awesome transformation, a lot more investments coming into these markets from a technology standpoint. But there's outdated tools. There's still a lot of teams using spreadsheets and paper and radio calls. And that said, these are some of the hardest, most difficult industries to be efficient, to get the job done. And so I would say, one of the places where great technologies may be needed most, but unfortunately has been underserved for a really long time. And maybe one more I'd add would be just some of the, cultural similarities. I mean, you need deep expertise. It requires really complex problem solving. The margin for error is really, really small. There's a huge emphasis on safety, compliance. And so again, just hyper specific, deep technical knowledge required, really complex, but unfortunately, has not, historically been well funded and well invested in from a technology standpoint, but it's happening now, which is super exciting. Gets me out of bed every morning.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of speaks to obviously one of the key insights we've had was the importance of that mobile experience. And why do you think why is mobile usability from your point of view a keystone for frontline adoption? And what does an excellent mobile experience look like as we think on the plant floor, in the field, and how is it different? How have legacy companies or solutions maybe missed the mark there or been slow to react to that?
Yeah, great question. And I'll start with one element of why it's so important, and a lot of it has to do with, well, how do you actually digitize these frontline processes? How do you create the efficiency for frontline workers? And how do you get the knowledge and tools into the hands of these individuals so that they can get their job done better, right? That's part of it. The other part is all of the critical data that is super valuable to be able to pull back into your organization to learn from, to improve. That's happening out. That's happening out on the site. That's happening on the floor. And how do you actually tap into that when these folks are on the go, on the move? It's loud, it's noisy, they're wearing gloves, it's dangerous. And so, I mean, you think about those dynamics, you go, okay, well, not only is it super critical that you have, great mobility, great tools that are intuitive and easy to adopt and easy to use, but you have to make sure that they're actually, helping these folks get their job done and solve it. And so, I think, really important is, and I'll get to mobile, but one really important factor I think is just usability, because it drives adoption. And that's true in really any industry. And so the challenge though is a lot of folks have the benefit of sitting at a desk and being able to maybe stumble through clunky, outdated software. And a lot of the folks in manufacturing don't have that, because they're on the go, they're moving to and from the site, they're moving from machine to machine. And so they just don't have a lot of time to deal with outdated, non-intuitive software. And so that becomes super, super critical. And then the other one would just be some of the aspects of mobile applications. And, again, it has to be on their person while they're on the go. But then you also have to deal with the dynamics of what they're dealing with, right? Again, I mentioned this before, but, loud environments, wearing gloves. So you start to think about, okay, how can I take, use my voice and be able to create action within a system, capture data within a system. And I make sure that I have really, really intuitive interfaces so that I can quickly get to my task without having to stumble through multiple screens, because I don't have the time for it. And so, you got to start to think about some of these dynamics and actually put yourself, in the shoes of the folks that are out there doing the work. And, coming from construction, I spent my entire career in technology. And so when I joined, 12 years ago at a construction software company, I mean, within weeks, I was on a job site wearing a hard hat, walking around the site with these folks, and, now doing the same thing here. And I think you get a real appreciation for the challenges and the dynamic environments that they're working in, and the efficiency needs that these folks really, really have. And so you just got to make it super easy to use, super intuitive, and it has to be built for the dynamics that are surrounding them every day.
Yeah. And everyone wants efficiency. Where do you think the real wins are today, and how do you measure them without boiling the ocean? Where do you, how do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, a big one is getting great data quality. And, I think that the challenge is that, and I'll get to some more maybe traditional, efficiency gains, but one I think people forget about is that, hey, there's all this incredible data that we can be learning from. And I think more so than ever, while we have machine learning technology, AI technology, we can parse through massive amounts of data and make incredible insights and drive incredible automation for our customers. But at first you need the data, right? And so I think it's super important that you're putting tools in the hands of your users that they will actually adopt, that they will actually capture data, that they will actually create that rich data set. And so I think that's really, really important. And then the other one is, I think you need to take advantage of automation wherever you possibly can, right? Whether it's, being able to capture information about work that's completed. Why does it have to be done meticulously typing out all of that data? Why not just use voice to text and have AI help you automatically summarize that into something that's really, really eloquent and and ready for folks to consume thereafter? And so I think you need to think about, what are these tasks that are taking up people's time and that are creating these roadblocks to efficiency, and start to chip away at that. Because the data that really shocked me when I joined this industry is that, and there's multiple sources that come to the same conclusion, the same data set, which is that on average, about 60% of a technician's time in manufacturing is spent researching information, troubleshooting, creating reports, documenting the work that they completed, and only about 40% doing actual wrench time. And that's their expertise. That's where they're the most valuable and impactful to their teams and to their companies. And so we want to allow them to do more of that. And I think that is, how can we put the knowledge, the troubleshooting information at their fingertips? How can we make sure that when it comes time to actually document their work, that is as seamless and easy as possible, and start to chip away at today what is a really, huge challenge for these folks when it comes to efficiency and actually time being able to do the work.
Yeah, it's a great point. And one question I want to ask is, I get this a lot from the field, and curious from your technology point of view, how you think about this is there's a healthy skepticism around the ability of voice to text to understand some of the more colorful ways people talk and the accents they have. They're like, I don't know if they can have they ever had someone with in Baton Rouge test this thing. Will it work? How do you think about that from a product point of view? Where sure, if we're sitting right here in a quiet room talking, I suspect AI can transcribe it pretty accurately. But in an environment where you're working with folks who maybe a little less eloquent and a little got some thick accents, how does it work? Does it work?
Yeah. Well, what's so great about that question is that if you had asked me 10 years ago when I was working on similar technology, I would say, I don't know. It's a really hard challenge, and we're not solving it very well. And what's great is that what we've seen is that the evolution and innovation within some of the underlying technology that powers software today, it's like the time of improvement is condensed incredibly, and so just in the last couple of years, what we're seeing is tremendous improvements across so many different aspects of technology. Voice to text being a great example of that. And so what we're now seeing is incredible noise suppression, right? And so we're able to cancel out all the most extreme noises that you're going to find on a manufacturing site. We're going to be able to handle accents, language translation. I mean, you name it. That's now all built into the underlying technology that we can leverage, that we have on our platform today, and that that's become made available and kind of in the more recent years here. And so that's what makes me so excited as somebody who loves technology, but more than anything loves solving problems for our customers. And so when I think about now how we can put something in the hands of our customers where not only can we make sure we're capturing what they're saying incredibly accurately, but then we can actually take all that information and help summarize it and improve the output to be something that is much more consumable as it kind of goes up the chain to management and leadership. And you want those summaries to be really well written and organized. And that's where AI comes into play, right? Because it can take the intent and then it can help you turn that into something that's a bit more organized. And usually it's because you're on the go, you're moving fast. You don't have time to sit down and meticulously think about every single word you're saying and exactly how you're structuring it. And we can now do that for you, and then give you a chance, of course, to review it and make sure that it's what your intent was. But the technology really has just moved so quickly in such a short amount of time that I think what folks probably thought wasn't possible 5 years ago is absolutely possible today, and pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've seen really, it's really impressed me the way it works. Like it's always because I've seen that 10-year ago experience where good luck. So the rate of change is pretty impressive. And I think, when we think about like what's real versus overhyped in industrial technology, and right now, some of the stuff like you're just talking about, how 10 years ago that would have been a pipe dream. Today it's kind of a very clear reality. How do you think about deciding where to place product bets and think about where to invest in a product like this, given the nature of this rapidly evolving technology landscape?
Totally. Yeah, and I'll give a quick high level answer, and then because you opened up Pandora's box there, I'm going to start talking about some of the cool stuff that we're building that I'm really excited about. But at a high level, I think the most important thing, and I think everything should be anchored in this, which is the answer doesn't exist in the building of a software provider, right? The answer exists out there with our customers. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we are spending insane amounts of time deeply embedded with our customers, understanding what problems they're trying to solve, where they have inefficiencies in their business, where there's opportunity to improve their lives, to improve the work that they're doing. And so I think everything we do has to be grounded in that. And that's incredibly important. And then the other thing that I think is really important too is to look at what's happening in the industry. Are there trends, changes that we should be aware of or that we need to get in front of? And I think a really important one is that, and another one that was somewhat similar to my time in construction, but definitely a huge challenge for this industry in the coming years is that, I mean, this is a specific stat here that we're going to need to replace about 3.8 million vacant jobs by 2033 because folks are retiring, right? There's all these really skilled, knowledgeable individuals who have spent their entire careers helping this industry be great. And good for them. They deserve it. They're retiring. But when 30% of the total manufacturing workforce is going to be retiring in the near future, well, what that means is that you're going to have a lot of new folks joining the industry. And that's awesome, right? Because it's such a great industry. It's such a great opportunity for these individuals and their families. And so we want to support that and help those individuals, get on board and become successful really quickly. And when you pair that with some of the challenges around efficiency that we talked about earlier, how much time folks are spending researching, finding information, that's going to get exacerbated when you talk about folks that are new to the industry, right? So I'll talk about one investment we're making specific to that because I think it's really important because it touches on the dynamics of the industry and we want to help our customers get in front of that. And that's just taking really, really important knowledge about the work and getting it into the hands of frontline workers, right? And so with our AI solutions, we're able to put information knowledge right directly into the hands of our customers where they can go in and in natural language ask questions to our co-pilot and get incredible answers, right? And what we do is we enrich it with asset manuals, asset data, the past work history of your team. So now all of a sudden, all those really, really experienced folks at your company that have been solving problems, completing work orders for years and years and years, all of that data is getting folded right back into the solution so they can now access it as these new folks join the team. And so that's something I get really, really excited about. Since I'm already on the track of AI, and then I'll get to some other big investments we're making, but since I'm on that track already, another one is that making sure that we are bringing practical AI solutions to our customers that do real work, right? And so what I want folks to really think about is not the buzzword AI, which everyone's talking about, but I want to talk about what it actually does for our customers, going back to what I mentioned before, which is solving real problems for the industry and for our customers and for our users. And so how do we automate tasks? How do we help them prioritize information? How do we suggest actions for them? And at the end of the day, simplify their decision-making and then actually do work for them that they don't need to do. And so that's how we're thinking about it. And so we're putting those tools in the hands of our customers and making it really, really easy to start to chip away at some of those inefficiencies, some of those tasks that they don't need to do manually themselves, and then starting to bring some of that knowledge right into their fingertips and starting to bring, some of that prioritization and suggested actions right up to their fingertips so they can move quicker and get things done faster. So I think that's really, really important. And I think another thing I'd share too, just as I kind of close out my diatribe about AI here, is that
great.
If you actually, look at what the industry is telling us, we've done our own internal surveys on this. The market has done lots of surveys on this, and what we're seeing is that at the latest 2027, the expectation from leaders at manufacturing companies is that they're going to be meaningfully rolling out and implementing and leveraging AI at scale across their maintenance teams. And so that is the expectation of our customers. And so we want to make sure we're helping them realize that vision. And we expect that a lot of that is going to be driven by our customers leveraging our platform. And so we're excited to be part of that wave and help our customers just become more efficient. So that's one definitely big area of investment for us. I'd love to share a couple more if I could keep going through them. If you have any thoughts on that, I'll pause for a second.
No, I think it's really helpful and really interesting. I've got a lot of questions. We just don't have a lot of time. But we'll have to have you back at some point. There's a question from the audience I want to bring up here to the stage here and surface from you. It's from Vlad here. It's what kind of systems, data drive the biggest opportunities? Is it the information coming from the workers? Is it the data coming from the machines on the floor? Is it the synthesis of both? Do you typically start with capturing one over the other that drives the most initial ROI? So curious how you think about it. Yeah.
What an awesome question.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Our belief is that it's the compounding value of both. Like deeply believe that's where the real opportunity lies. Now, I don't want to discourage anybody from thinking that one or the other is also very valuable, but because when you think about connected machines, right? Turning raw equipment data into predictive insights. That is so important. And for far too long, the data has either not been leveraged at all by the industry, or it's sitting in historians or data lakes. And so what we're really excited about is how do we actually take that data and turn it into action within our platform? And so, there is incredible value in that, and why we're investing so heavily in it. And so that was actually on my list of things I was going to share with you about where we're investing. Yep. But to answer the question, where it gets really, really exciting is when you bring the two together, right? So when you take all of the years of work history and all of that knowledge from the incredible talent that sits within the building and all of the actions and history of the work that they've completed, and you push that together with all of the data that's coming off of these machines and all of the machine learning that we can do around predictive insights against that and predictive actions against that, we believe that not only can we, provide our customers with the most rich data set, but we can actually turn it into action. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. How do we actually take all this information, all this data, all this past work, and turn it into action that helps us, reduce, how quickly we can go repair something, but more importantly, actually get in front of having to, do a real-time repair at all where something actually goes down, because we want to reduce that downtime for our customers. And I think this is an incredible opportunity to do that, because when you can start to predict things out in front of where it actually happens directly from the information that's coming off of these machines, that is an incredible, data set that supercharges everything else that we just talked about when it comes to AI and when it comes to, empowering our teams to move faster and be efficient.
I'm super excited about the potential that's going to bring and the value that'll add to the broader ecosystem at large. I know we're kind of coming close to time here. I do want to quickly give you a chance to throw you've talked about a lot of really exciting new technologies. You've got an incredible point of view here. Give you a chance to throw this prediction out, like looking ahead to 2026. What do you think is going to feel obvious in hindsight that still looks early today?
Yeah. So I'll give you two quick answers here. One is just one I'm deeply passionate about. I think that we're gonna continue to see what's been happening, but I think it's going to accelerate rapidly, which is usability and focus on frontline workers is going to accelerate like crazy. I think for far too long, we haven't ensured that frontline teams have world-class tools at their fingertips to get the job done. And I think what we're going to see is more and more companies across this industry are going to say, you know what, we have to ensure that we have the best tool for the job for our frontline teams. Otherwise, this entire workflow, doesn't realize the full value realization. So I think that's going to continue to accelerate. I'm seeing it. I think our customers are seeing it. And so that's what gets me really excited. And then the other one I would say is that we're going to start to see some pretty real efficiencies enter the industry. And that's going to come through automation, and that's going to come through data insight. So I think folks are going to be able to make faster decisions because they have access to more data. And then I think a lot of the tasks that they maybe assumed they were going to be doomed to have to do themselves for the rest of their lives, they're going to be delighted by the fact that a lot of those tasks are going to be automated for them. And that kind of goes back to what I talked about with just how quickly technology is transforming and how much more power we now have to put into the hands of our customers to automate these tasks with incredible intelligence. And so I think, again, I believe our customers in a year's time are going to look back and go, wow, I never thought that all of this work that I used to have to do myself is now being automated for me. And I can get, I can focus my time on the really hard tasks and the tasks that really, kind of deeply require my expertise and my knowledge and my experience.
Love it. We're getting some other good comments and things from the chat, but we'll have, I think maybe the best way to handle that is to tackle those after the show here, and we'll reply back. So for those of you watching, we got to wrap up. We've got it. The show's got to go on. So Will, thank you so much for joining. This has been a ton of fun. This has been really fascinating. I hope our viewers got a chance to enjoy hearing from you today. So thank you to everyone watching, and Will, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. That was the fastest 30 minutes of my life. So I could have talked for hours. So thank you for having me. It was a blast, and really enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again.
You got it. We'll see you all next time on the Wrench Factor. Thanks so much for joining.